Hey everyone. So today, well, actually, just one. It's Gaurav and I. We're going to be doing the ThirdEye workshop today. And I'm very excited about it. This is the first time we're doing this workshop. So the recording will be available on YouTube so other people can follow along. Unfortunately, the environment that I created will not be available in future. So Gaurav gets to play. The people who didn't jump on the call may not. Okay, so Gaurav, what we're gonna do is here's the I'm gonna share my GitHub repo in the chat, and hopefully you can bring it up. So this is the GitHub repo. What I'm doing is my name is Barkha Herman. I work for StarTree, and I am a developer relations person, a DevRel advocate. And so it's my goal is to create these workshops that people can just play with, engage with, and give them some hands-on experience. And in doing so, this is the third workshop that I've created. The first one is getting started with Beano, Batch. The second one is streaming with Kafka. The third one is ThirdEye. And if you look at that link, you'll see some other upcoming workshops that we're working on. And if you want a particular workshop, I'm open to suggestions. So if you want to play with something in particular, let me know. And so with that, I'm going to click on the getting started with ThirdEye, and this is what we're going to be doing today. All right, so let's get started. I have some learning objectives there, how to access, navigate, set up, data source and ingest, create an alert, examine anomalies, create events. Also, I need to add one more item in there, how to create notifications. So these are the challenges we're going to take a look at it. So what I did was before we got started, I created these user IDs and passwords. So these will disappear after a while, but they're around now. So I'm going to assign you user one. And I used my own domain to create the dummy user because I didn't want to confuse it with the StarTree AI. I am the admin for my own domain, but not StarTree's. So that's the first, the user1@barkhaherman.com, and then that's the password. So I would, the way I usually do these workshops when I'm doing it with a handful of people is I get people to share their screens one at a time. You let me know if you want to share your screen, and we can walk through it. And oh, we have one more person.
Yeah, I'm easy to share. I'm just trying to, my Firefox is just hung, so I'm just sorting that out, and I should be good.
Okay, let me see. You have access to share. Hello, Aarti. We just got started. So what we're doing, can you see the link, the GitHub link in the chat?
I just joined in, so I don't see the earlier chats.
Okay. No worries. Okay, so we're gonna repost it. And here's the lab that we're working on today, Aarti. So hopefully you're here to do some actual work. We're going to follow the instructions in that. And if you scroll down, you'll see 3 links. The lab that we're working on today is the ThirdEye lab.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to that page, it has a link to where to go, which is StarTree Cloud. And we already set, I already set up an account for you all. So today you don't have to sign up because it takes time. Okay. And there's always a delay, right? And provisioning and all that stuff. So what I did was I created these dummy users. So go ahead and use this user. So it's user2@barkhaherman.com, and then that rest of the stuff is actually the password, that whole thing.
Okay. So directly go to that cloud link you're saying.
Yeah, no, so the link that I posted in chat is the GitHub that we are following. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the instructions.
Correct.
Where you'll go to log in is StarTree.cloud.
Yeah, great.
All right, so how's it going, Gaurav? Are you able to see?
I just had some, I don't know whether it is Firefox acting up or something, so I'm just giving that a restart. So just bear with me.
Got it. No worries. So I'm going to ask one of you to share your screen, and we'll switch back and forth from time to time, because it makes no sense me doing the lab because I wrote the lab, so I know how to navigate it. It's better if I see you execute the lab, so I learn from it and I can improve it also. So Arti, if you want to share your screen, that would be great.
Okay, 1 second. Yes, can you see this?
Yes, perfect.
So I've logged in here.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So
I'm
let's go ahead and, yeah, you clicked on the ThirdEye already. And what we're going to do next is, so yeah, you already have that open.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is ThirdEye. And on the left-hand side, there's that greater than arrow. If you expand that on the bottom, you'll see what each one of these are. I keep it expanded just because you know what all those icons are. When you get used to them, you don't have to expand it. But anyway, the first thing that we're going to do is link our data set. So if you follow the first challenge, connect to a data set. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to configuration on the left.
Yeah.
Okay, and then go to that create. You can see the data sets if you want. You can click on that data sets tab. There's already an existing one. We're not going to use that. Just for this exercise, what I'm doing is having everyone create their own data set. So Arti, since you're using user2, go ahead and hit that create onboard data set.
Okay.
Okay. And then if you look at the drop down, there's only one option because we have one Pinot connected. And what I'm going to do is have you look for and select web anomalies 2. Gaurav's going to use web anomalies 1 because he's user 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you following along, Gaurav?
I am, yeah, I'm just going to choose
Perfect.
the web anomalies one. Yeah.
Okay. And then you want to say submit. And there you have it. You have the data set is onboarded. Now, the next thing we're going to do is create an alert. So if you want to go to the alerts, yeah, perfect. And again, click the create. So there's already some test alerts that I created earlier today.
Okay.
So let me this is a perfect time to ask both of you. Are you aware of what ThirdEye is?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arti, do you know?
Yeah, +1. So I have an high level overview, went through some recordings in the past, but yeah, this is my first time getting hands-on.
Okay. All right. So so in that case, I'll move along, but feel free to interrupt and ask any questions. This is a good time to have them answers. Just a note on the dimensions. You can create a basic, like quick and dirty alert where you're just interested in one metric, right? And so use the first option. But today we're going to do the multidimensional alert. And I feel, and our team feels, that that's where like the power of ThirdEye is, because it's you know, running at every minute, so it's consuming real-time data. And B, the analysis is more complex when you select the multi-dimensional alert. So go ahead and click the create. Yeah. So Gaurav, I created one web anomalies. You created the one, and Aarti created the two. So we're gonna pick. So Gaurav will pick one. Aarti will pick two, and I purposely had you create your own, so you don't feel like I've kind of seeded the data. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at the clicks. So what we want is, this is a web analytics data, and what we're trying to do is figure out if there's anomaly in web clicks. So we can go with this.
Just the site analytics.
Say that again.
I was asking, are these just like a data set with site analytics, like a website analytics?
Yeah, exactly. Is it suddenly up or down, and why, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So we're going to use some, even though the user interface says count, we're going to use some. And then one of the things I wanted to emphasize here is, if you scroll, so what we're going to do is add all the dimensions. So this is why go to the dimensions tab, dimensions box, and pick country.
Okay.
And then again, one more time, pick browser and platform. And this is the multi-dimension part. So the thing is, not only are you going to be able to say, oh, which country spiked, which browser, but which combination or permutation spiked of the three. So it could just be all browser equals Firefox, or all platform equals mobile, or it could be only Chrome in India spiked and Firefox in the US, or whatever, right? So that's the idea. And then the next is the date range. So this is the data that ThirdEye will use to learn. Now, the data we have available is all the way from 2018 to 2022. And I want to try and minimize it to just 2021. So what we're going to do is pick, so start date, we're going to pick January 2021, and end date December. Yeah, so that's just 1 year of data. And, one of the advantages of that is you get to, if you have any seasonality in data, because you're looking at 1 year, you're getting some seasonality stuff also in it. So, and again, this is test. You might choose a bigger range if you're doing quote unquote real analytics, even though this is real analytics, right? So. Okay.
So this range is pre-selected, right? But usually with Pinot datasets that this works. So now let's say if there is a real-time datasets where the data is still getting through. So do we sort of select the to date as somewhere future date?
So the idea is that it's going to use this data set to learn from. So it's not AI, but it's still kind of establishing patterns. It's using statistical analysis to establish pattern. The alert will operate on not just the old data, but also as the new data comes in. So this is just for analysis while creating the alert. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. So you can add query filters here. So you may want to say, add whatever your data queries. We're not going to use this today. And then leave it at 5 and hit that generate dimensions. And I want to just walk through this, the reason we're doing this. So if you generate dimensions, what it'll do is, if you scroll down, it'll show you that, hey, for that year's worth of data, 63% was mobile, and like the breakdown, right? So obviously 37 was desktop or whatever. 39% came from India, 39 came from US, and so on and so forth. So this is just giving you a breakdown. Now, at this point, you can adjust that metric, the contribution percent, if you want to change that to, let's say, change it to 50. So we'll just change it up on the contribution percentage. And I'm just picking 50 because to show the absurdity of the difference. So if you hit generate, you'll see that it's just picking the top 2 generations. So you can play with this percentage contribution. For this sample, you should probably pick like 10 or somewhere around 10 or 15. So whatever, and again, you play with it because you'll get different results based on that, and hit generate again. Yeah. And you'll see that that's pretty much all the data, because there's no 1% stuff here. So for some, in this data particularly. So you can either select all the dimensions, so it'll create charts for all the dimensions, or you can remove some that you're not interested in or whatever. And then at this point, hit the multi-dimensional alert.
So is that like a filter when you choose the contribution percentage, just so that you don't want to probably create alerts or monitor on perhaps things that are not the biggest contributors?
Yeah, so, it does work in the background to create alerts. And if your sensitivity is like 1%, 90% of your data is where you want the alert, but you want it to be super sensitive. It's a case by case. So in some cases, you may want to monitor 1%. In other cases, you may want to say, hey, I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? Okay, so hit that load chart here.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, here's the thing, we can, you have access to this data, so play with it, look at, what the different, if you aggregate on count versus sum versus views or whatever, you'll get different graphs, and that's what this is. That's why this is very UI rich, so it can show you. So if you change it to hourly, you'll see the graph changes quite a bit. And reload preview. Oh, it's thinking. Yeah. Yeah, probably not useful.
Yeah.
Probably daily is better, right? So here, what we're doing is we are creating an alert for this data set for sum of clicks daily. And the thing that we want to drill down on is, browser type, platform, and country. So, and then if you scroll down, you'll see like that line right there where US and mobile, you'll see that spike, right? So that's interesting data. You see, that's kind of not, it doesn't look normal. So that's the kind of stuff we want to do. We don't want it to be, that means that the, if there's too many anomalies, then you'll be bombarded with stuff. And if there are too few, there are no anomalies, then it's useless. You want the sweet spot to be somewhere in the middle. And then if you do next, okay, so this is where we are actually selecting the threshold. There's actually a link to that view guide on which the algorithm to select under there. So if you want to open it in a new tab, yeah, there's actually a flow chart that we have. So obviously this clickstream data that we're dealing with is seasonal in nature because, websites get heavy loads. So seasonal data, of course, we use the ETS pattern. And so that's what I recommend using. Of course, pay attention to what kind of data you have, and this is going to change based on what kind of data you have. So,
sorry, when you say ETS, what does this mean?
Exponential smoothing.
Okay.
So what that is here's the way it works, right? So in seasonal data, you want to compare this year's Christmas sales with last year's Christmas sale, not this year's Christmas sales to last week's. That makes no sense because the data is seasonal. In addition to that, you don't want to pay attention to 5 years ago's Christmas sale because trends are very different, right? So the smoothing algorithm, what it's doing, exponential smoothing algorithm, actually what it does, time smoothing algorithm, what it does is it will give more weight to the most recent season as opposed to 10-year-old season. If you look at Amazon sales, for instance, right? 10 years ago was different than today. The trends changed quite a bit. So that's what the exponential time smoothing is. It's not doing, it's not linear, it's exponential because trends change quite a bit. That's like the layman's explanation for that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then also if you go to that, we can talk a little bit more about the flowchart. If it's just I'm just like an AC unit, right? I just don't want it to start consuming too much energy. That's just like a threshold. That's just it shouldn't be using electricity below this or above this. That's a simple threshold. You could do it by absolute number, or you could do it by like a percentage in some cases. The mean variant is a little more aggressive range, so it's a little more exponential, but we all know what mean variance is. And then we have the ETS, and we also have this new algorithm. If you scroll down a little more, the matrix profile. The matrix profile is where the granularity is. The seasonality is you're checking every minute, and the seasonality is daily. So this could be, I used to consult for this company called Citrix. Logins go up at 9 a.m. There's a huge difference between 7 and 9, right? So that's the kind of stuff. It's still seasonal, but it's a different kind of seasonal. But anyway, that's the selection algorithm.
Okay.
So if we go back to our, so if you want to select, my recommendation is to select, if you scroll down, select not the threshold, but the ETS, the StarTree ETS. So if you scroll further down.
Right. So in this page, we
one.
chose the data set and the dimensions, and now we are choosing which algorithm to apply.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hey, Rex, how are you? Are you interested in playing along with us? All right, you can choose next. And so here we have, what's showing. Now you can load chart to take a look at. And so we have some defaults, right? We're still sticking with the aggregation function sum. The sensitivity is high or low. Now, if you look at this, it looks very even. And so here, what you can do, and we do see some of those spikes, you can do is scroll up, and let's talk through these inputs, right? So the 7 days seasonality period and the look back. So we want to look back 28 days, but the seasonality is every 7 days, there's a new thing happening because seasons change. So if you go all the way to high on that sensitivity where it says low, medium, high, and then reload the preview. Aha. So now what you're seeing is you're seeing real alerts show up. So this is just telling us that our sensitivity to variation was too low on the other algorithm. So you can select next.
If I could ask quickly one question. What are
Yeah.
these line items now?
Yeah,
over
so
the moment
yeah,
you
the
select?
lines indicate where anomaly is being detected. So this is, remember, this is historic data. We're just playing with historic data at this point. As a matter of fact, this whole lab is historic data. It's not connected to a real website. But the line indicates that there are some anomalies that are being discovered. So this is a good way for you to visually kind of ensure that the alert that you're creating works on historic data. So chances are it'll detect alerts going forward as well.
Agree, but I think some of these charts were pretty much they were similar, right? But we saw some spikes over here. That makes sense. But now suddenly these red lines have increased, right? What does this indicate?
Yeah, so so algorithms are basically, it's a formula, but the constants are the ones that we're jiggling with, right? So what we're doing is we're saying it's a high this is a high sensitivity that we're adding sensitivity to it so that the formula is a little more sensitive to changes. And depending on the type of your data, and so if you make it all the way low, you'll see that those lines disappear, right?
Got it.
Yeah, Gaurav, question.
So just to read this on the first chart, so the red line in September is indicating perhaps higher activity than the first week in August. Is that the way to read this? Because we are looking back 28 days, but the season is a week.
Yeah, so yeah, what we're still seeing is in September first week, there are like 2 anomalies right back to back, right?
Yeah.
And that seems like it's trending upwards. In July, you see it's trending lower. So we were expecting
Yep. So
but we got more than X.
Got it.
So what we can do is after we create this alert and examine it, we'll go over it a little more. But I can also, what I can do is I can also, we can create more alerts and just compare them just for the heck of it. Because for before doing this lab, I created a mean variant alert. And it was super chatty, like it was very tuned in. It was like, oh, everything was an alert, like just slight deviation would trigger an alert. So we don't want that, but we don't want it to miss alerts either. So this is you're gonna have to play with it to figure things out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I click next.
Yeah. Okay. So now you can, at this point, you can click on that filters and sensitivity button. So here you can add some more stuff. So for instance, you can say, hey, I'm only interested in clicks that happen between Monday and Friday. So you can add a time of week, right? So you could do that. You can add a threshold saying, hey, I'm not interested in if it's 0, I'm only interested between this and this range. So things like that. So this is just there for more additional parameters. I'm not going to have you do it for this example, but it's just there for whatever reason, right?
Okay.
So go ahead and click next. So we don't have really, we can skip it, but we can do next. I'm not adding any filters. And at this point, you should be able to save it. So if you want to change that, click some StarTree ETS to add your name, Aarti, in front of it somewhere so you can find it, because those names are completely useless. So go ahead and create it. All right, so it actually is evaluating all system data at this point, and you can kind of see those spikes on the second line. You can already see it, right? So they'll show up as anomalies after the system has run on it for a few minutes. So let's click back on that alerts. Sometimes it takes a minute to refresh. So click on the alert on the left,
Okay.
on the menu. Sometimes it takes reloading, right? So if you want to click on that Aarti one, the second one, Aarti.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing some of those alerts showing up. They'll start showing up on all of them, but yeah, you can look at the view details, click on the view details, and you can kind of see what's going on. So this is a better screen to kind of explain what's going on. So you can see that that between August and September, I don't know what date it is, the performance spiked. So you can select that region and it'll zoom in. So if you just keep your cursor down and then drag it across, yeah, let it go. There you go. So you can zoom in and you can kind of take a look at what's going on here. So it'll give you August 19th and between August 19th and 21st, for some reason, the sales were up. And this is only for US and Chrome. So now if you go down and look at the view details. No, actually, let's click on this.
Which one?
Yeah, just click on that. Click on one of the lines or one of the dots.
This one?
Yeah. So now this is the anomaly screen that'll kind of go into a little more detail. So if you scroll down, and it tells you on the top that the start of the anomaly was August 19th, end was 21st, so 2 days. The seasonality was 7 days, and the deviation was 10-11%, right? So the actual was 827. We were expecting 745, and if you hit that investigate. Now, you should see a heat map. And basically what this is color-coded information. Blue indicates higher than normal, red indicates lower than normal. So it seems like for some reason, more hits came from mobile during this time, right? Now you can click on that top contributor and see what's going on. What's going on is clicks from web anomalies to basically the top contributor for this anomaly was platform mobile, right? So if you click on that box next to it, so it changes 12% higher than normal. Click on that box.
This one? Or...
Yeah. Click on the checkbox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then scroll up, and what it'll do is on the chart now you're looking at this new comparison chart. So you can see the two combined, which is US and mobile, but also you're looking at the mobile only line. So this way you can kind of compare, hey, I'm focusing on US and mobile. Is it just a mobile increase, or is it a combined increase? So what is going on? So you can now like look at each one of the each data point and kind of decide, is it a what are the contributors? Is it just a mobile thing? Is it just US mobile, or what kind of complicated scenario? So that's the kind of stuff you can do. Also, if you scroll in the bottom, you'll see that baseline offset is 1 week. You can change that to see, you can change it to 2 weeks and 4 weeks or whatever. And that'll give you some additional sort of time frame and whatnot. So if you want to just look at, compare the other two, you can do that too. It doesn't look like there's much going on, but you can check them all. So the idea here is that the investigation is very visual and easy to see. So you can kind of see, hey, really the top contributor was just the mobile thing as opposed to something else, because you see that peak curve in mobile, but not in the other, the yellow line doesn't have that peak. Any questions about this? I mean, I think this is kind of cool, but.
Basically, this helps deep dive with respect to what's contributing to that anomaly there. Right,
exactly. And it's easy, it's fast, and it's visual. So you don't have, you're not doing, so you can play with the reports and whatnot. So also, there is also that button on the left which says, is this an anomaly? So now, you may want to give some feedback to the statistics saying, hey, is this an anomaly or is it not an anomaly, right? So if you click on that, you can say, hey, this is a valid anomaly, or no, this is not an anomaly. And or is it a yes, but it's really a new trend and things like that. And that'll give the ThirdEye more information on applying the algorithm better. So you can do some feedback. So. Okay, and then
so
you can
this is
also
marked as, sorry, I was just going to ask, if this is marked as a trend often, then perhaps it will just not be inferred as an anomaly going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so we've created an alert and we've looked at it. You can also save this investigation. And when you save it, what'll happen is that you can share it with friends. Let's say that there's a group of you that are working on an anomaly and you worked on it, Gaurav, and then Aarti wants to know about it. And she starts over, but you've already done a lot of the work. So you may want to save it and put a comment saying, hey, this is a US mobile issue. It's not a mobile only, or whatever that looks like. Or it could be mobile only, or whatever your comments are, so that you can share it with whatever you want to, whoever you share it with. Questions?
No, it's great so far. I think it takes analytics to a very different level.
Yeah. And, the fact that it analyzes at a minute granularity. So these, right now what we're doing is we're playing with old data, right? So this is a sample thing. But the fact that this is happening to new data as it comes in is very powerful. All right, so these are some of the features. Now, the next thing I want to do is talk about the events. So if you scroll down, and I don't know which order I have this in. I created the labs, but I don't remember which order. Okay, we did that. Oh, create events. Yeah, that's the next. Now,
I do actually have a question, if you don't mind. So this data that we have is very like user analytics, and sometimes we want to do analytics on our business events. I don't know, and the domain is also going through a change every time. Now the data actually changes over time, right? Or the shape of the data will change over time.
Right.
Is there something that you have like perhaps a field is no longer there, or a field is there, or its type has changed? Is that something that how would the system consider that, or would it
Yeah, so
detect it
the
as
alert,
anomalies?
yeah, the alert will stop working. So if it's not a breaking change, it'll continue to work just fine.
Yeah,
So especially you're going against your Pinot data. So
yeah,
if you're adding stuff to Pinot, fine, that's not a problem.
yeah,
If you want to go back to the alert and say, hey, there's a new metric that I want to track, or there's a new dimension I want to add, you can always go back to the alert and edit the alert. If you remove a field or a data type is changing, then it's most likely to break.
yeah. The use case I had in mind, like say a stock perhaps went through a split, so its price went from 100 to 10. Now that's going to cause anomalies. So do I just come back into perhaps a report and say, now this is not an anomaly, or accept this going forward? Or can I say, hey, unlearn everything you've learned before?
Yeah, so it's not AI, it's only using
Yep,
statistical models.
yeah,
So what you can do, and so let's do that. So go to the alerts, Aarti. Let's take a look at it. And then instead of clicking on your alert, the one that says Aarti, click on the checkbox next to it. And then go to edit. And what you'll see is it's just a JSON file. So this is where you could say, hey, wait a minute, I want to remove something or add something, or I want to change the sensitivity from 14 to something else, or, whatever. I want to ignore certain things, things like that. So this is the definition, and you could so, the UI is amazing. It's good. You can create alerts in the UI, but you'll notice that over time, you'll just start creating the JSON files for the alerts because it's faster, and you'll start understanding the schema, and you'll start coding it rather than doing the UI part. But the UI is powerful. So this is where you would go and kind of adjust things. So we have the data source data set, aggregation column function, seasonality, look back, monitoring granularity, sensitivity. The time zone doesn't matter. The fields are all here. We don't have any query filters, but this is where you would change it. But yeah, if it's a breaking change in that you're trying to do the sum of clicks and clicks is gone, then it'll break. It'll just not work. So, yeah. Or if the data type is different, right? If you're moving from platform from mobile string to 1, 2, 3, you could just go edit it here, saying, hey, mobile is 1, desktop is 2, or whatever. That's a simple change, but it's not. Yeah, you're gonna have to change it. Now, if it's a trend thing, then the statistical formula will take that into account because it has all the data. So it's not AI, it's not a trained model, it's a statistical model. It'll take into account all those things. So, all right. Hopefully I answered your question.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's create some event. So what is an event? If you go to configuration, Aarti, and go to events, you'll see that what we've done is we've already created events in the system. And the idea here is that these are all known holidays, and the holidays could mean, let's say that you're monitoring office computer use or something like that. If people have a day off, obviously the data is going to be low. It could also be something like, oh, flowers and chocolate sales go up for Mother's Day, but not Father's Day, those kinds of things. So you may want to set up events. So that filter tab that we looked at in the event creation has the events built into it, saying, hey, watch out for those events. But also you can create your own event. So we're going to go ahead and create a sale. Let's say that we're running a promotion or a sale for some website, or, so you can go ahead and say create event. And it's very basic. It has a name and a type. The type is string. So you can define your types. There's no sort of schema for types. It's just string. So you may want to say, hey, I'm going to call all my sales a category sale, right? So that's just what it is. The sale start time is July 1st and it ends July 27th. So if this sale is encountered, you'll see more clicks or whatever. So that's what that's for. And then also you do have the metadata entry, and this is just for name value pairs if you want to track it for whatever reason. So you don't need to create a metadata, but you can add it. So now you can just click on the create event, and you got an event. Now remember, this event is only good for July 1st and through July 27th. So you won't be able to pick this event for that one anomaly that we saw, which is because I think it was 2022 data, because this is not a live environment. We are not consuming real-time data. But if what'll happen is if you go to that anomaly again, Arthi, you'll see that if we had created an event, so change the date range, and go to, somewhere there. Yeah, pick that, apply. All right, yeah, there you go. So these are the anomalies that happened for whatever, right? And you can click on one of them. It doesn't matter. The BHs are all mine, the ones that I created. So because these anomalies happened between the range of June 30th, so 6-month period between June and January 1st, 2022, if you go to one of the anomalies, you can add an event there. So just click on something. So this is the mean variance one. You can see how it's very sensitive. So there are way too many anomalies. So you can click on any one of those dots. And if you hit investigate, and now if you scroll down and go to that events tab, if there was an event for that date range, it would show up here. If not, you can also add event using this button. It's the same exact UI, so it's the same thing.
You want me to add this?
I mean, it's up to you. But yeah, I'm just showing the functionality so you know how to use it. So that's what the events is about. And you can kind of use events to explain anomalies so that they don't show up. And you can add them as filters to the event itself, saying, hey, ignore all, holidays is a big bucket, but you may only want to focus on holidays where people buy stuff, right? So December, maybe sales. But if it's a holiday where people stay indoors and don't do anything, then the sales might go down. So different events. So that's what the metadata is for. You create your own metadata and relate it however you want it to. So, all right, we're very close to time, but I have one more thing that I want to show you guys. So if you go to configuration, Aarti, and go to subscription groups and create a subscription group. So this is where you can create groups and how to notify. So let's say that, we want to create an alert for, sales analysis, another one for, IT group or whatever. So we want to notify IT people as well as salespeople, but we only want to notify salespeople if X was down or whatever, right? So you can call it whatever you like. You can use cron syntax to say how often, every 5 minutes, every hour, how often does it run? Or you could choose that schedule daytime and it's a GUI based thing. So if you want to just create one, just create a test or something. And then you can, notifications, we have 3 types right now. We have email, and you can have as many emails as you like. So if you want to click on that one, you can add emails, comma separated. And then the other 2, you could add a Slack channel or you could add a webhook, and the webhook may have more complicated logic, right? So whatever you need to. So go ahead and, if you want to just say user1 at Barkha Herman so you don't get spammed or user2. So if you want to add an email, because there's another step. So yeah. So if you want to go to next. And here's all the alerts, and you can kind of say, hey, I want to be notified only for this, or I want to be only notified. So here's the other thing, right? Let's say that you are responsible for sales, and but you're only sales for Northeast. You can pick that dimension and say, don't only notify me about US sales. There's another guy who's taking care of India sales or whatever, right? So so you can have granularity here by saying, hey, only notify me about these alerts, and so on. You don't have to save it if you don't want to, but I just wanted to walk you through like some scenarios.
Yeah, so these are like very narrowed down filters that one could select for their subscriptions.
Absolutely. So these are the same dimensions that we picked for creating our alert. So obviously, if the alert doesn't monitor a dimension, then we cannot notify you on that dimension. So if the alert supports it, the notification also supports it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or you could say, hey, send me all of it, right? So that's possible too. So
I'll save this.
yeah. I'm gonna delete all this stuff after this session anyway. So, but yeah, so there you have it. You have now some alerts. So if you go back to configuration subscription group, you'll see the subscription group that you just created, and there are 27 dimensions subscribed, and it's telling you what's going on. So, and you can edit it, and you can do all kinds of stuff. So we're at time, and I think that this was fun. What do you guys think? What are the questions? Did you learn something, any aha moments or any feedback for me?
Oh, I think this was great. Thank you very much for putting all of this and preparing with, like usernames and data sets and everything. So thank you very much. It was great. Yeah, I think it's like analytics on steroids, which is good. And it's something that I have experienced in the past, but it's very hard to visualize and then communicate to stakeholders. So I think this is a very, very useful tool to use that. The one question I have though, and it's a very basic question, the data sources, is it, can I only use Pinot for this?
Yeah, so right now we only have Pinot. So if you go to that data sources tab, you'll see that you should be able to add other Pinot clusters in there. Right now we're only supporting Pinot. This is an extremely extensible platform. So if you go to configuration, you'll see that we have templates for new algorithms. You can create your own templates for algorithms. You can add algorithms. You can do all kinds of stuff. So there is a robust, and this is a newer product. So there's a robust community that is working on other stuff. And hopefully we'll support more sources. But at this time, we're just supporting Pinot. It's a Pinot add-on. And again, if you know the history, LinkedIn invented Pinot, and then they're like, okay, well, we need a solution for anomaly detection. So they created ThirdEye for anomaly in Pinot, the Pinot data. So yeah, so that's the history, and that's why it's where it is.
Oh, no, all good. I was just getting like use cases in my head. So I was thinking, we basically have the firm I work for, we have a power sensor, but it's just not using Pinot. But I was like, this is really good to gauge spikes and usage of power. It's sensor data.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, one of the things that I want to do one of these days, it's going to be a shorter demo, is the data manager for Pinot Cloud. It makes life so much easier. So those, those data sources that we created literally took a couple minutes, and basically you can onboard data from S3 or anywhere, Kafka or whatever. So if you have data that's coming into Kafka, of course, you can set up a Pinot table for it. But if you have an S3 bucket and it monitors the S3 bucket, you drop more files in it, it'll ingest it, put it in a Pinot table. It takes literally minutes. And then once you have it in Pinot, you can do all kinds of stuff for it. So I'm an advocate for Pinot, so I'm going to talk. So, but yeah, no, good question. Arti, how about you? Did you learn something?
Yes, definitely. This was really great. We had our in-house anomaly detection tools, but have no integrations with Pinot yet. And this comes really handy to sort of play around with this data, help us understand. And like Gaurav said, it's really helpful actually surfacing some of these insights to our stakeholders. It's very user-friendly and very intuitive.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So great feedback. I'll let the engineers know your feedback. So appreciate it. With that, I'm going to stop recording.